G'day guys and welcome, my name's Michael and I am the Dead Aussie Gamer, here to share with you my tips, tricks, ideas and strategies for playing and running tabletop role-playing games. Now, today's topic is an interesting one because, well, to be honest, I super struggle with this, and that is, of course, deciding names for characters. Now, in a game like Dungeons & Dragons, and, well, any role-playing game really, a lot of names that we tend to use are names taken from a fantasy world. I mean, it's easy to make names in modern settings. You could just use Michael or Timothy or Jared or whoever. But when it comes to creating like an elven name, what is a good elven name? How do we find one? If we've got a paladin who comes from a land based off Norwegian culture, what is a good name for that if you grew up in Australia and only know everyone else as Bazza? You know, where do we go? So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of the ways that I at least decide on a few different naming styles that hopefully will help inspire you guys and guide you along the right path to finding the perfect name for your NPCs. Or PCs. I mean, why not? Why not PCs as well? All right. So, starting, of course, with the first trick that I use is probably what a lot of people tend to do, and that is, of course, using a name generator. Now, don't laugh, okay? Now, a name generator is quite simply readily available in a bunch of different places, but simply taking a name from one of these generators and just slapping it on doesn't really hold the right vibe. Whenever I use a name generator, I always remember to keep 3 simple rules. Number 1 is I can't reuse the starting letter over and over and over again. For example, if I am creating a family of dwarves, you know, it might be amusing to call it Balin, Balin, Boffer, Biffer, Bimbo, Bumber, you know, that's funny, that's entertaining, and if I'm doing that intentionally. Otherwise, I try to avoid having people with the same names, you know. If they find out that, oh cool, we're traveling through this town, have you noticed that everyone's name begins with an O? You know, it becomes a very, very easy to see mistake because, of course, as with everything in life, we find things that we favor. I, for example, really like names that begin with S, names that begin with M, names that begin with R, and names that begin with A. I don't know why, that's just what I do. I enjoy them. They're really good. Now, with a name generator as well, there's lots of things you can do to accent names in a fantasy setting, or any setting really, to change them from what we would get. Now, if I am doing a cursory name generator, you know, sort of that thing, let's do this right now in front of you guys. Just a random name generator, here we go. Namegenerator.org.uk. This is just a random one. So let's go with character name. Nice one right here. Cool. How many examples would you like to generate? 10. What gender? Let's go with a male. Character's title. Ooh, I like that. Let's go with let's go with a rabbi. Why not? We're making a rabbi. He is human flavored. Ooh, there's also vampire and wizard and a whole bunch of others. What type of character are they? They are virtuous, a rather virtuous person. How would you describe their nationality? Got a whole list of nationalities here. Let's go with a Hungarian. How would you describe their parents' nationalities? This is actually a really good website. I stumbled upon this, by the way. Parents' nationality, Australian and Canadian. What best describes their religious background? Well, being a rabbi, I imagine Jewish. Given name, first one, begins with, oh, look, I can even decide. I want it to begin with a D. Ends with a R. Why not? That's it. Cool. And then write me some character names. Please wait a moment. Let's see if I broke it. Ooh, there we go. Here we go. We got some. So, Rabbi Dwyer Farkas, Rabbi Draper Vaga, Rabbi Dexter Brown, Rabbi Denver Fikete, Rabbi Delmar Kiss, Rabbi Dior Blore, Rabbi Dida. So, as you can see here, a whole bunch of generations can easily be chopped and changed in order to make the one I like. So, for example, I love this one, and this one showed up. So, Dwyer Farkas. That was a really nice one. I like Farkas, but I don't like Dwyer, so let's go with Delmar. Delmar Farkas. That is the name. Rabbi Delmar Farkas. So that's how I use generators, is I don't just simply pick one and just copy and paste it. I like generators that give me a nice little mix. So that website as well, by the way, is name-generator.org.uk. So that's a really good one. Really good one. First time I actually used that one. But yeah, okay. The next is a translator. Now, it's really weird, but, you know, a lot of names are really decided based off very literal meanings translated to various different languages. For example, if I were to go with an English to, let's say, a Romanian translator, right? Nice, not commonly used. So I want to have my character named something like, something to do with the wind. So let's go with wind. What is the wind in Romanian? Vant, vant. So from that, I then look at, cool, what does that translate to? Translates to vant. Maybe Vance. That has a nice ring to it. Vance. My name is something Vance. So maybe something like Peaceful Wind. My name Initstit. Initstit. So maybe my name is Vance Einitzt. Vance Einitzt. You know, you can create names based off, you know, your translations, how you can muck about with them. You know, don't just sort of copy and paste. Same thing with the generator, you know. So yeah, translators, lots of fun. Playing around with languages, always great. Now this one's a really sneaky one, and I've used it a few times. My players don't know, but I do. And that is, of course, anagrams. Rodiart is obviously one of my favorite characters because it is, of course, spelt backwards, the word traitor. So if ever they find a person named Rodiart who is just a humble farmer, no one trusts them anymore, basically, because I play around with them. So mixing up the words in a name or a thing in order to try and create a new name. Fantastic. A lot of fun you can have there, especially if you have a really clever player at your table who loves anagrams. It is a fantastic way to seed very common traits. You know, symbolism is also another really interesting one. I had someone whose name was Scarlet Herring. And of course, you know, that was just kind of like her name was Scarlet. They found out later her name was Herring. And they suspected that she was responsible for a murder. It took them 4 games to realize that I'd literally dropped a red herring on them. So not necessarily an anagram, but, you know, kind of that whole symbolism, changing the definitions, the translation, all of that is about obfuscating words to create names. There you go. It's a big word. Now, there's one thing that I tie to all of these in order to try and make naming a strong and worthwhile thing, and that is, of course, the conventions of any name that I'm creating. So while it's easy for me to just randomly pull out a name generator, muck about with the words, or pull out a translator and make it something symbolic, or even muck about with anagrams, what's important is to understand the conventions with what you have named. For example, certain sounds invoke certain feelings. Certain names will provoke a certain style of character. For example, the name Arthur, a very strong common name, invokes the idea of King Arthur, the hero, a person of noble birth. If I think of someone like Ulrich or Reinhardt, it kind of has this big imposing warrior kind of you know, vibe to it. So taking the names and understanding where they come from is also equally as important. Just to play into it. Anytime I create a name, I don't just write it down and look at it and go, cool, that's a name. I try to say it at least 4 or 5 different times and think, what do I feel when I say this name? What are my players going to feel when I say this name? And then I hopefully apply it. Another little dirty secret, just to kind of throw this in there, is you don't need first and last names. Sometimes just first names are perfectly fine, or even just last names. Calling someone Mr. Let's go with let's call this guy Mr. from Portuguese, Ontem. Mr. Ontem. You know, ontem is the word for yesterday in Portuguese. But yeah, that's it. You don't need to give him a first name. It's like, no, I don't refer to myself as anything more than Mr. Ontem, but I shall, you know, address you as this, or Professor Ontem, or whatever, you know. That's how you would go about it. Don't overcomplicate it by giving yourself a first and a last name for every single thing that you do. The only people who should have first and last names are your players, your main NPC, or your main villain, main quest NPC, and maybe, and I say maybe, royalty. If you ever explore games that involve like a royal lineage, obviously your last name is super important, and then you're going to have to obviously identify people who carry that last name. So Those are the only times that I would say that a first and a last name is needed. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for indulging me with this video. And like I said, I struggle with this, so I would love, and I mean I would love to hear from each of you. How do you name your characters? Do you have an entire town based off a theme, like everyone is named after different types of small birds? Or do you have a particular flowchart that just gives you the names that you would like? How do you decide your names? If you guys want to check it out, we have a series called Minion Quest, which is just launched on our Twitch channel, link in the description below, where we actually explore the importance of names and also bypass the need for me to name things, because only important things have names. Everything else is referred to as simply what you are, and that is it. Ha 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 ha. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to check out all of the links in the description below. And, of course, if you do like the Dead Aussie Gamer, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go visit us on Patreon. Until next time, guys, from me to you, game hard or die trying. Bye, guys.